Hey, it's Bruce, WeedersDigest.com. Hey, listen, I'm heading out on the lake today for a little walk, and it's one of those days where it's just great to get out on the ice. And it's 55 degrees, short sleeve shirts, and yet at the same time the ice is starting to get pretty soft. As you can see, I'm able to dig it up pretty good just by walking on it, yet at the same time, just a few feet away, we've got what's called black ice, and that really is starting to get to the point where it's going to start turning into honeycomb. I'll explain that a little bit later, but it's actually starting to pull away from the shoreline a little bit. And so what we're going to do today is just kind of walk around the lake, give you an idea why we get so excited about spring in Minnesota.
So just, kind of some different pictures that I took around as I was walking around this is just right along the dock where you can actually see that the dock posts, what they do is they draw the heat in and then actually open up an area right around the dock post. And so that ends up being a drain that drains all the water from the area that comes onto the surface as the snow melts. And things like this, the skating rink, you can still see the complete outline exactly where the skating rink was. And it's probably time that I put the shovel away. I don't think we'll be shoveling the rink anytime soon. And just as you walk around the lake, you can just see all the different contours of different activity that's been on the lake. You can see the dark ice there, the light ice out there. This actually shows where kind of along part of my shoreline I've got 750 feet of shoreline, and so that part of it is cattails, and really it's kind of the pond side of the lake, and then the other side is more the lake and swimming area. And one thing that in the city you find that there's a lot of, I guess it's nothing more than pollution that you'll find on the shorelines. So that was kind of an oily surface. This you can actually see the cross-country ski tracks literally going right through and right to an area that's now open water. And here you can see the ice is now starting to break up a little bit, and this is one of the causes, is just anything that makes a hole in the ice will now become a bigger and bigger hole and just create that. Here was my fountain that I'll be turning on in a couple of weeks. And this I found interesting, is that there's a bunch of what really is probably kind of an algae that's coming actually through the ice right along the shoreline. And so there is growth of different things on the bottom. This is actually a muskrat run where the muskrats have been coming in and out. And a lot of wildlife starts to show up around this time of the year. We had some foxes the other day, actually a single fox. This is a big boulder that's off my shoreline, and the heat is drawn in by the sun, causes it to melt right over the surface of it. This is the tip of our peninsula going up to the shoreline, and a big crack out in the middle of the lake that's just continued to grow. And then it went all the way up to this point. This is about a half-mile long crack that you could actually trace. And one of my neighbors that obviously failed to take off his canopy, and the snow got a little bit heavy back about a month ago and caused that to collapse. And the ducks are starting to come around. This is at the very end of the peninsula. We had some real shallow water. Normally that would be covered, but this last year was quite shallow. So really what's going to happen now is really over the next days we've got some good sunshine that's forecasted, and so these areas like this will keep getting darker and darker and darker. They'll turn, go from a gray to a black, and then that black will eventually become what's really like a honeycomb. There's no density to it. Right now out in the middle of the lake there is probably as much as I would say there's probably as much as 20 inches of ice still, and that's most of it is good solid ice, very heavy duty, thick, dense ice, probably could still support a car. But what will happen is that the water starts to run. It's a little hard to believe when it's 20 inches thick, but the water will start to run through there, and as it runs through, it just causes it to break down, and as it breaks down, it gets more and more porous and turns to like a honeycomb, and then it actually will oftentimes just sink. It'll sink to the bottom. One day you'll have ice, the next day it'll all be gone. So as I walked around the lake, just taking different pictures, I found, it's really nice to see that people will bag up after they've been, had a dog out on the lake. But I don't quite understand why somebody would take the time to poop scoop, clean up after their dog, and then leave it on in a bag on the ice. But you know, I'll tell you what, I had some other pictures, and where fishermen have been, they always leave, not always, but many of them are very irresponsible and leave a lot of trash out on the lake. But like I say, this one kind of tops them all. So, but you know, this is the transition that you can start to see in the lower left-hand corner there. You can start to see sand. This is right on my shoreline. It looks like we've got probably about 10 feet of gray ice that is soon to be honeycomb. And then out there is white ice that, like I say, I just walked there and it's very stable, very solid. But that'll just keep going out further and further. And then when we get some really good warm weather, it'll suddenly just, it'll all change very quickly. In fact, this is the view from my home office, and you can actually see there's some cross-country ski trails along there. You can kind of see those tracks, and then you can also see where the skating rink is. So anyway, check back. I will get out there and take some more pictures as we end up the season here very shortly, about 2 weeks away from ice out.